The toss, Tommy, choose please. Head or tails?
Head.
Heads, Tommy.
I receive.
Receive.
Sounds good.
First set. Ryan Harrison to serve. Ready. Play. Fifteen left. Fifteen all. Service. Thirty, 15. Thirty all. Fourteen, 30. Harrison. First game. Tommy Robredo to serve. Fifteen left. Thirty left. second serve. Forty love. Game, Robredo. One game. Fifteen left. 15-all. Fifteen, 13. Fifteen, 14. Game, Robredo. Robredo leads 2 games to 1. Sit quickly, please. Thank you. Net for service. Fifteen love. Thirty love. Forty left. Robredo. Robredo leads 3-1. Fifteen left. Fifteen on. Mr. Harrison is challenging a call on the right center service line. Ball was called out. Ball stands, second serve.
Thank you, Basil. Looking forward to this. Harrison, a young gun from the US, much expected of him. But John Fitzgerald, he's up against a very experienced campaigner in Tommy Robredo. He's going to make him work hard.
Yeah, you'd have to refer to Tommy Robredo now. I think has been a wily veteran. He's been around
Something
a lot.
like yourself.
no, not quite that extreme. Yeah, but gee, he's been a good player, a very solid player. You know, he tends to beat all the players he should beat, Robredo, and probably has fallen at the last hurdle in terms of getting right into the top echelons of the game. But he's got 10 titles to his credit. He's a 30-year-old veteran now, and awfully good clay courter, been into plenty of quarterfinals of majors. Very, very solid.
Harrison.
Big serve from Harrison, though. That's one of his trademarks. Robredo, though, up a break, 3-2.
Robredo leads 3-2.
How much time? How much? Yeah, how much? So there's 30 seconds left.
Should be 30 seconds.
And how much time was that?
What size below? I'm going to talk to him and change over.
We did it all through qualies, and there was a ton of like ton of time violations, you know. So it has to be the same. Like,
How about we didn't have too many in the quali?
what?
We didn't have too many in the quali.
Talk to Steve Johnson, Jesse Levine, all those guys. There's a
Not
ton.
4.
4? I don't believe it. I had at least 5 or 6 guys in the locker room that were talking about it.
Tommy, hay que salir antes. Cuando digo time, hay que salir y hay que estar listo antes. Cuando termina el game.
Ah, pidiendo esto.
Sí, vale, pero hay que salir rápido. Time.
Seats quickly, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Tommy Robredo, who suffered a severe leg injury early in 2012, very much trying to get his ranking back on track in 2013. He was sidelined for about 5 months early in 2012. Looks as if he's
15 left.
he's very much finding his timing again, having played through challenges, etc., for several months after that injury layoff. The only Grand Slam that Robredo played in 2012 was the US Open, and he beat Seppi in the first round, lost to Florian Mayer in the second round.
You know, for me, Jeff, Robredo really epitomises that Spanish style, that Spanish clay court style player who understands all the nuances of defence and attack. He knows particularly the percentages of the game. So he knows when to do certain things on the tennis court, and it comes very natural. They do it over a lot of years of learning on the clay. It's a great teacher of the craft of tennis if you learn on a clay court, and that means you've really got to beat these players. They won't give you too many free points.
Big serve, and there's been plenty of discussion this week about time violations. The umpires seem to be cracking down on it. This happened at the last changeover.
Love 15.
It might be a good moment to bring in Todd Woodbridge, if we can. Todd, can you hear us? Time seems to be an issue for the umpires this year.
Yeah, I can, Jeff, and it's interesting seeing Ryan chatting so quickly. He's a lovely kid off court. He's the sort of kid that really wants to engage, loves tennis, loves the history of it, likes learning about everything that he can. But in terms of his temperament, what you saw then has been the one thing that's holding him back at the moment. He likes to get involved in chit-chat, and he's quite emotional, and it doesn't help him. Some players it can. It actually holds him back.
But Todd, obviously the first tournament of this calendar year, the rules have been tightened up here on the ATP Tour, as they are, I think, on the ITF and the WTA as well. But the men players we've noticed so far just coming to grips, I think, with some of the rule changes and how they're going to implement the rule changes during matches in terms of not going over time.
Well, I think it's a good thing. It's quite ironic because so many of the players don't like how long a player like Rafa takes to get through points. They're always complaining, and then when it's turned around on them, they're whinging and complaining themselves. But it's a good thing for tennis. Let's keep it moving and get it going. It's just it's a new start to the year, and they've all got to adjust to it.
For service.
So is it right that the players then, if they're serving and they go over the time limit, they'll get a warning, and then maybe the second time they lose a first serve?
I think that might be right, Fitzy. I think one of the other implementations of it is...
Ball on the left service line. Ball was called in.
As we wait for this challenge, is that when the umpire calls time from the change of ends, they've got 30 seconds to actually start that next point as well.
Second serve.
They can't dawdle around and fiddle with towels and all that sort of stuff. They've got to keep it moving. So the tour's right on it. I think it's a good thing. And I think we'll see a few more warnings before the week's out.
Yeah, well, I think over time, you know, it's just human nature that the rules are there almost to be bent a little bit by competitive players, and if they start, you know, elongating the time between points too long, as Harrison serves that out, then it has to be brought back into line.
Please.
Robredo still up a break, 4-3.
Robredo leads 4-3. Time. Sit quickly, please. Thank you. Left.
And Todd, there's been a lot of comparison as far as Ryan Harrison's concerned with Bernard Tomic, both only 20 years of age, and Harrison probably just not getting the same exposure as Tomic because of Bernard's results. But do you see him somewhere close to Bernard as far as potential?
Look, he's the best American coming along at the present moment in the men's game, and it's quite interesting just to see how much longer it's taking the young players to get going. He's taken a couple of years now to get into the rankings of 40s, 50s, but he'll keep progressing. He plays along the same lines somewhat of an Andy Roddick, same sort of style. He's got a very good jumping serve,
15,
kicks up,
30.
and likes to use the forehand as a weapon. He likes to be the dictating player, though, Jeff, and today he hasn't been able to do that because Robredo's spreading him around the court fairly well, and I think that's an area you can see there where he's got to try to improve on. Is becoming better in the defensive areas of the court. Just on another thing, he spent most of last season working with Grant Doyle, former Australian player who was based out of the United States, and happy to say that we actually poached Grant off him. He's heading back to Melbourne to start working in the National Academy there and help with our young players.
Tell you one thing about Harrison, though, he is quick. His first step, what an athlete he is. And look, he just looks like a player that's hit so many balls on hard court to me, and that's the difference here. When you play a clay courter like Robredo, who learned all his tennis on the slow European clay, he misses less. You know, he just misses less tennis balls, and there'll be flashes of brilliance from Harrison. It'll be interesting, though, whether he can maintain that over a period of time, though, because with the Spanish-style player, you have to beat them. They never give it to you.
That's an example right there of exactly what John Fitzgerald was talking about. He was aggressive, Robredo, but with margin all the time.
Yeah, it's controlled aggression, isn't it? And that was a big point, break point.
That sure was.
And Harrison didn't play a bad point, but that's what you have to do to beat these guys. So I'm sure Robredo has his attention early in this match. Back to Juice.
Of good fortune there, but Todd was mentioning earlier that his game's a little bit like that of Andy Roddick, Ryan Harrison we're talking about, and an example of that is last year he won 81% of all his service games, Harrison, but only 18% of return games, so that's clearly an area that he's got to work on, the return of serve games.
Yeah, Robredo.
So Robredo fights off the break point. 5-3 he leads. First set.
Robredo leads 5 games to 3.
And of course, coming up after this, Australia's Matthew Ebden, now working with Australia's Peter McNamara, one of the former Australian top 10 players. That'll be interesting, and we're looking forward very much to see how Matthew is progressing. Should be a terrific match as he plays David Goffin from Belgium, who of course put out Bernard Tomic at Wimbledon this year. So looking forward to that as we see again, as Todd mentioned, some frustration that comes out of Harrison from time to time.
Yeah, and that frustration and punching the strings opened up the knuckle on his right hand. He's bleeding quite profusely from that. He walked straight up in front of us there, Jeff. Not a good thing to do, hit the strings of those. And he's looking at it now and
15
wiping the blood on his shirt.
Good thing it's a red shirt.
Well, yes, but gee, you can see the cut there. If you punch the strings of this modern string, it'll open it up like there it is.
Yeah, it's
not
foolish.
smart. Yeah.
Tilaf.
Can't quite get the angle. There we go. With the adrenaline going there, you wouldn't be feeling it. It wouldn't hurt at all. It's just that he might have a few scars on there if he keeps doing that. Yeah, great first serve. This is the weapon you talked about. It's a nice, easy motion, isn't it? He's not overly tall, Harrison, but probably about 185, I would think.
183.
Okay.
Good first serving, so he's going to make Robredo attempt to serve for this first set.
Robredo leads 5 games to 4. Time.
Supposed to be 90 seconds between when the last point finishes and we begin play with the next. That's at the sit down, and we're well past that. So, as we've mentioned earlier, it's good that the officials are looking at it. Clearly, they're still giving some latitude.
There's a lot of latitude there.
Well, they've got a ball issue. That's
mate. That clock there is their worst enemy, isn't it? Goodness. Yeah, no wonder matches go for long periods of time.
So Robredo, 10 career titles, attempting to serve for this first set. All but one of his titles have come on outdoor clay courts, as John Fitzgerald has alluded to. He's a terrific clay court player, but gee, he's not too shabby on anything, and he's looking pretty sharp here.
Third sealer.
Well, just the game he'd be looking for, isn't it?
Fourth sealer.
First serves, such an advantage. Be able to serve well when you need to. And 3 easy points.
Almost a perfect game from Robredo. First set his way, 6-4.
6 games to 4.
Porque no hace falta tener las 6 bolas para sacar. Cuando digo time hay que levantarse y sacar.
Pero ¿por qué hay que ir más rápido ahora?
Fue una decisión del board acelerar, pero estaba muy lento.
Ya, pero cuando él saca, o sea, parece que hay que ir como una moto.
Sí, pues la idea es esa. Ya sé, pero la idea es esa.
¿Quieren eso?
Sí. Sí. Acelerar los tiempos del partido. Esa es la idea. Esa es la idea. Esa es la idea.
O sea, pero parece que vayamos... ¿Sabes? Te pillan pavo con esto, se va rápido.
No hace hace falta tener todas las bolas juntas, podés sacar con 2. La idea es acelerar los tiempos, que todo sea más rápido. What? Ask the towel to reach. Just take the towel off. Is there? Yeah.
No, está bien, pero ahora pasan 20 minutos y se va al baño. ¿No? Lo hacemos rápido, que sea rápido.
Pero está bien, pero el criterio es
Sí,
durante el partido tenemos que jugar más rápido.
Sí, ya lo entiendo, pero tipo
Bueno,
más
baño,
rápido
médico,
y
eso
ahora
no-
se va al baño con 30 minutos.
Ah, bueno. Tiempo lógico, son 3-4 minutos como máximo.
No, ya.
Brian, we just change the towel before completing.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay? Thanks.
Time. Second set. Fifteen left.
Yeah, Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova,
30 left.
good to see her back playing well. She looks fitter this year than ever before. She's always been a beautiful hitter of the ball, so that's going to be an interesting match out there. Meanwhile, Harrison, 30 love, first game. Father Pat is a
40
coach
love.
and has been a major influence on Ryan Harrison's game. He's got a younger brother, Christian, who also plays. Does his training out of the Bollettieri Academy these days. For quite a while was at the Newcomb Academy in Austin, Texas.
Forty, 15. Game, Harrison.
That's long. So Harrison, opening game of the second.
First game, second set. 15 love. Red for service. Third love. Fourth love. Left for service. Game Robredo. One game. Love 15.
Yes, indeed. Looking forward to seeing Andy Murray on court
15.
again. Here, very insightful interview there with him. Look how deep behind the baseline Tommy Robredo was, typical of a clay courter. Prepared to mix it up.
That's it.
Well, I was about to say, I thought he did the right thing there to let the ball bounce. It was a pretty high return, wasn't it? But just put a bit too much on this. He was anxious, wasn't he?
That's all.
So the game plan for the baseline of the clay courter like Robredo is to get that first ball back into play high, deep, not let the more attacking player, I think it's fair to say, in Harrison, take advantage of the first short return. Get it back deep, and then he feels
40-30.
good serving there. But then he feels he's in good shape to win more than his fair share of points, Robredo. So Harrison, on the other hand, wants to probably keep the points a little shorter if he can.
That's one way of keeping the points very short. 2-1 on serve, Harrison, in the second.
Harrison leads 2-1.
The service motion of Ryan Harrison, a big arch in the back. It's more of a topspin, a fast topspin serve than anything else. Uses a lot of energy on the delivery. Rewarded with 286 aces in 2012. He's going to need plenty more of those here today if he's to subdue Tommy Robredo. 1-2 serving, second set.
$15 left.
It's probably a well-known story, but Tommy Robredo was named thus by his dad because he loved the rock group The Who, and of course they had a musical called Tommy, and that's how he was named.
Tell
you what, so far in this match, he's been awfully solid on his service games, Robredo. Serving well, high percentage, close to 80% in that first set, and
yep,
and
4 unforced errors.
Yeah,
tough.
And that's what we talked about, Jeff. That's exactly what his style of player does. That he keeps the unforced errors to an absolute minimum. Therefore, the opposition has to keep the ball in play long enough and well enough to actually beat him from the back without getting any free points. So if he can do that, it's one thing, but being able to do it over and over is very difficult, and that's what Robredo makes you do. This is one heck of a forehand, though, isn't it?
Crunched it.
Take that. So he gets one in, but that's the difficulty factor. Hitting 2 or 3 in a row is very hard. It's a low percentage. And it's just what Robredo makes you do all the time, and he knows it. He knows if he keeps the ball in play with his margin for error, constantly heavily hit balls that are deep.
So an easy hold there for Robredo. 2-all in the second. Don't forget, coming up next, Australia's Matthew Ebden continues to improve on the World Tour, and he'll need to be at his best, though, against young David Goffin from Belgium, who really made a name for himself in 2012 with his performances at Wimbledon over Tomic, and also the French Open, where he pushed Roger Federer. He won the first set from Federer and had a serve for the second, I think. So he's a player of the future.
Yeah, talented young player.
Should be a terrific match.
$15 left.
So it's Harrison's.
$30 left.
Is it Robredo? It's Robredo's return, is it? So this is where Tommy Robredo is making contact, and this is probably against the trend. You know, for his style of play, he stands up on the first serve, but for the slower second serve, he actually stands further back, which is probably against the tradition of how we all used to play, Jeff. The second one, he's a lot deeper in the court, and he likes to loop that first return and get himself into the point, because that's where he thinks the percentage suits him. So there you go. The second serve is the unusual one. He's back a lot deeper for the second serve, and he loops it high and deep, gets himself into the point, and from there he feels confident he can win.
40-30.
That's a sort of point, though, that Ryan Harrison has to tighten up on. I mean, he had an opportunity to come up with many choices of shot on that last particular hit and came up with a high-risk one, really. Just a gentle lob would have done the job. Let's see if he pays the price. Still up 40-30, though. And that's the difference between the mature, seasoned professionals. They make the right choices, and it's just a poor choice, as Harrison made the previous point, that often sees him come undone when it gets tight.
Well, I think he tried to serve and volley for something different on that second serve there at 40-30, but now he's under pressure. Well, you can see who's trying to get to the net quicker here. Robredo with a case in point of that high first return. Good second serve. He looped it back high. Thought he'd get into the point, but Harrison catches him on this occasion by sneaking in quickly. And Robredo was too deep in the court to do much with this ball.
Oh, well, that's beautiful play off the back of a wonderfully executed drop shot. Harrison, 3-2.
Harrison leads 3-2. Time.
Lots of things happening here at the Brisbane International. Lots of spectators have poured in already this week, enjoying everything about the tournament. I mentioned how
15 left.
Matthew Ebden's coming up next. The two career doubles titles that Ryan Harrison have won have both been with Matthew Ebden.
Let's first service.
Tell you what, you've got two quick athletes playing together.
Yeah, well, that'd be tough. They won Newport on grass in 2011. They won Atlanta in 2012.
Third tee left.
Well, he's finding it very hard, is Harrison, to make any inroads in the Robredo service games. You know, not only is he serving exceptionally well here, Robredo, but once he does that, he's just the man with the greatest percentage, you know, to follow it up with. He sets up that first forehand, and then he pins you down at the back of the court and doesn't make any errors. Just seems that Harrison has to play an exceptional point to actually win, whereas Robredo doesn't. His percentage or understanding of it is so good that he plays with margin, understands when to attack and when to play with without too much risk.
Let's first service.
Well, Tommy Robredo's highest world ranking was number 6 as long ago as 2006.
$40-50.
So you don't get to be in the top 10 players in the world without being sound in every department of the game, as well as very sound in your decision making.
Game.
So another easy hold. 3-all in the second set.
3 games.
Fitzy, has Harrison got to modify his return of serve strategy somewhat? It's been a problem for him throughout 2012. As I mentioned earlier, he only won 18% of all return games. Is he being overly aggressive or attempting to be so?
Yeah, look, I'm not sure. I just think it looks to me like his mentality is he's a hardcore player, wants to finish the points a lot quicker. So I don't mind a guy, you know, when you pick the right ball and you take the right risk when you get the reward for it. But at the moment, he's making a lot more unforced errors than his opponent. And that looks like it may be the difference here, unless he really strings a dozen very good points together in a row here at some stage and grabs the upper hand in this second set. But at the moment, he doesn't look like breaking serve. And there's just a few too many errors. Trying to go for that lower percentage style winner, maybe a fraction too much. So, look, he's a talent. There's no doubt about it. Wonderful athlete. There's so much to work with, I think, in his game. And that's a rare error from Robredo. So 15. That's a free point, and that's what you don't get from the guy in the yellow shirt too often. Only 20 years of age, Harrison. He's a young kid still.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mr. Harrison is challenging a call on the right far side line. Ball was called out.
Well, Robredo looks pretty confident that it's wide. He's moved across to the other side. Catches the line.
Call overturn. Replay the point.
Well, he can't believe it, Tommy. He thought it was wide, but you know that's the point with Ryan Harrison. He missed a short
15.
forehand earlier in the game. I thought he'd missed that one, and turns out he just catches the line by 3 millimetres, but can't afford those easy errors. I think, though, the strength, though, is that he's got an all-court game, and he's got the speed to go along with that. He can cover the court. He's a good volleyer. Maybe not quite good enough yet, but he's got the potential to have a terrific all-court game if he can just keep the errors down.
$40-50.
Well, he's been given some opportunities in the US already. He played a live Davis Cup match this year against France. And the opening rubber, he lost to Zonga in 4 sets. So that was a great experience for the young man. He's the first American teen to play a live rubber since Roddick in 2001.
Well, Robredo there.
40-30.
He anticipated that. He could see Harrison shaping up to hit that drop shot. He gets a head start.
How well he gets down.
Yeah. It's classic, isn't it, that backhand? Just too much power there. Not enough time for Harrison to react.
Good change up, served and volleyed in the end. So it's on serve still, Harrison, 4-3.
Harrison leads 4 games to 3. Time.
So welcome back to Brisbane, and Ryan Harrison will be looking to make his move here. He's lost the opening set to Robredo, and we're on serve in the second, business end of this second set. Great get. Oh, fabulous.
That was good. And a wry smile. Gee, good speed. That is quick. And made it awkward for Robredo, didn't he?
I didn't think Robredo was going to reach that. That's terrific.
There's the versatility of it. You look at Robredo, you think, well, he's a backcourt player. No. He's got all sorts of talent. Instinctive player.
Mr. Harrison is challenging a call on a right base. Ball was called in.
So Ryan Harrison here, I think he felt that he was out of position. The ball must have been very close. He knew he was going to lose the point anyway, so he decides to take a risk here and stop the point. If it's in, oh, it is out, I think. Oh, it's in. Look at that.
That's well in, Betsy. Come on.
30 love.
Well, he's unlucky. And the second wry smile. This one more of a grimace, I think.
1 millimetre.
Mr. Harrison has 2 challenges remaining.
How many great Spanish players have we seen over the last 10 years? And probably most of them are thinking, if it wasn't for Nadal, I'd be a superstar.
Yeah, I might have won a Grand Slam or two. Might have won a French Open. He's never been quite good enough, Tommy, to win one of those majors. But, gee, he is a solid player. He was working Harrison over in that point.
$40-15.
There's the versatility of Ryan Harrison too. He used the slice there defensively and then
40,
and with a lot of accuracy. That was a terrific shot, as the one before was. Well, the one before was better. That one was accurate, but it brought Robredo forward, and he's a talent, Harrison. He's the type of player, surely you'd love to, if you're a career coach, you'd love to be able to get a young player like this who's still got a lot of upside in the next few years. So there's the time violation, Jeff.
Yeah. Umpire Damien Steiner from Argentina. He's quite right. Players are going over their allotted time. Oh, that's wayward. So from what seemed to be moments ago, a comfortable hold, now the pressure building on Robredo.
And part of that reason is, you better be careful here again, because he is a bit slow between points, Tommy, but part of the reason is that Harrison has grinded out a couple of points. He's kept the ball in, he's defended well, and he's made Robredo hit the extra shot for a change, not giving him the free point. So small chance here at deuce.
Net, first service. Advantage, Robredo.
Good effort from Harrison. He thought he'd come up with a beautiful defensive lob there, but again, Robredo knowing just when to attack, when to play safe and when to attack.
Game, Robredo.
So no damage done in the end. 4-all, second set. And
4 games.
don't forget tonight, Leighton Hewitt, the man who's carried Australia's hopes for so many years, will be in action around about 8 p.m. Serena Williams, also the best player at the end of 2012, surely also in action. Looking forward to that very much.
You know, I think we all exaggerate about who are great players in this game and who are good players. You know, we tend to use that word great a bit too often, but Serena Williams, well, the player of a generation for me. She is something special. "15 major singles titles."
Yep.
How many do you think she'll win in this calendar year? What's your guess?
Well, she wants 4 of them, doesn't she? That's what she said. She wants to win the Grand Slam.
Well, we all wanted 4, but
yeah. Well, it's hard to imagine that 2 would be out of the question. At least Wimbledon, surely. And
well, if anyone can do it, she can. But
40 up.
You'd think she's odds on to win a couple, at least.
Let for service.
A rare mistake.
Game, Harrison.
so Harrison an easy hold, 5-4.
Harrison leads 5 games to 4.
Can I get a water, please?
Time.
So Ryan Harrison looking to make some headway on the Robredo serve here. Hasn't been able to do so as yet. With the pressure building on Robredo, serving to stay alive in the second set. 4-5.
Well, Harrison here out of picture. He starts to guess here. He jumped to his right there to return that ball. That's always dangerous. It means the opposition's serving well.
Third set up. .30-15.
Not far away from making that volley either. Oh, there's the unforced error that's so unnecessary.
40-15.
And the frustration on Harrison's face, it just explains his mindset there. Just unnecessary to give away that point. Gee, that juice there would have given him a realistic chance of winning, snatching this second set. Gee. So if it had been 30-all, if he'd kept the ball in play.
40-13.
With a spectacular shot that, well, if would have, could have, he would have had set point. But keep the ball in, young man.
As you pointed out, though, Fitzy, he's a terrific athlete. He's quick but strong. There at end range, he was able to generate enormous racket head speed. So
Robredo
just too steady, 5-all, and just
5 games all.
a moment ago we saw a time violation warning given to Robredo. The new rule for 2013 on the men's tour says a time violation That will happen between points if it exceeds 25 seconds. In the first instance, there'll be a warning. For the second and all subsequent violations, the penalty will be a fault for the server. And a point penalty for the receiver.
Wow, 15.
So in other words, Robredo, he's been issued with a warning, so now he's the receiver. If he violates here as a receiver, he will lose a point. When I mean here, any time for the rest of the match.
15.
And if he's the server and transgresses next time, he will lose a first serve.
So Jeff, as much as there's some inclination to try and implement this rule at the moment, when you look at those averages there between points, Robredo's average between points is 27. That's, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's longer than the 25 seconds, and that's on average.
Your maths is outstanding.
Oh, yeah. So they're showing signs of implementing it, but not steadfast.
30.
Well, this is where things really tighten up for Harrison. 5-all, 30-all.
Let's first service.
Gee, wonderful
14.
second serve. You know, at some stages in matches, you need to take a risk. And that was a mini one there. At 30-all, very, very dangerous situation. At 5-all, 30-all, second serve. And he takes a bit of a risk and goes for a big one wide. It pays off. Oh, that's a mistake. Robredo, the wily old fox, was all over that. Gee, a missed opportunity. This is an excellent shot to open up the court, but here's where Harrison was just too casual. He goes again. Well, he knows Robredo's going to run around the back end to try and hit the forehand.
It's a good tactic, isn't it? Because not least of what you just said, the grip that Robredo uses, he'd much rather hit a ball close to his body, that is moving to his left, than that moving to his right. Big serving, well done from the young American. 6-5, he leads in the second.
Harrison leads 6 games to 5. Time.
Tommy Robredo serve, and then the forehand. You can see the physicality in the game these days, quite remarkable. Robredo 5-6, second set.
Love.
He has served well. So many first serves into play, and when you get that high percentage at that speed, you're going to get a lot of shorter returns and balls you can attack on. So that's how he uses his serve, so that he can back away and hit that favourite forehand that you just spoke about, Jeff, where he backs away to his left, and that's where he's at his safest and he's most dangerous. Yeah, so not quite as good when he moves to his right. Not quite as effective, even though that was a tough one. He was stretched, but he wants to use that serve so he can then back away. And quite often hit the off forehand with the footwork. Not bad for a 30-year-old.
30-year-old who had a severe leg injury early in 2012. He's come back well.
And a great lesson for any young tennis player. You know,
40-15.
When Robredo hits this shot and he has Harrison stretching, he knows he's going to get something short. He uses leg speed very quickly. He doesn't wait. Quick first step here, quickly into position, and he hits the ball at the top of the apex there, which increases his margin for error. Beautiful percentage tennis from Robredo.
That's it. Mr. Harrison is challenging a call on a left base. Ball was called out.
Yeah, and I'm not sure this is out. I've just got a feeling, even though we can't tell from this angle where we're sitting, Jeff, just got a feeling this might catch the line, but no. Gee, that's close. So worth the challenge, I think, at that stage for Harrison. Nevertheless, we're into a breaker.
6 games all, second set, tiebreak.
Well, the
tiebreak
is...
Both players will receive an additional challenge for the tiebreak.
Yeah, the tiebreak is also always a bit of Russian roulette, but you'd imagine the man of Robredo's experience may have the edge. Certainly the way he plays, he's no risk, no fuss.
One zero. Harrison.
Well, the unusual unforced error from Robredo, but it was from the weaker side, from the backhand. Harrison there showing signs he was really anxious to get to the net early in that point. So expect him maybe to come in a little more here in the breaker than we've seen so far.
1-all.
It's a perfectly played point. Ryan Harrison there is like Usain Bolt sprinting for the tape.
Not quite that fast, but but pretty quick though. That is a compliment. Yeah, well, I like the fact that at least Harrison there pressuring Robredo off the second serve. He's had such a high percentage of first serves in this match. He misses a couple and just enables Harrison to try and press a little bit, put him under pressure. Okay. Well, he's in with a chance now, is Ryan Harrison.
Really has a big bend in the back in that serve.
Twice now he's done that. Gee, I bet the thought was in his head, Jeff, as that ball went high. He missed one in the first set, didn't he?
Well, yeah, you're quite right. And I think the percentage smash would have been sliced back across court in the deeper part of the court and keep the upper hand, but he just went for broke. Easy from here.
Too good.
Terrific tie break thus far. 3 points all as they change ends.
Ball was called
Maybe
in.
there's a challenge. I think it seems to be perhaps a futile challenge from Harrison. Indeed it is. 3-all.
Ball stands 3-all. Mr. Harrison has one challenge remaining.
Well, that missed smash a few points ago was a big 2-point swing there, wasn't it? And Robredo using all of his 30 years of experience just to... He's hitting forehand after forehand here, dominating the points and with great margin for error, no mistakes. And now he's got Harrison really under pressure.
Five, 3, Robredo. Five, 4, Robredo.
Well, he was perhaps a little fortunate there on a couple of issues. That approach shot really wasn't good enough. And then the Robredo pass hit the tape, but Robredo would fancy himself to make that pass more often than not. Nevertheless, this tie-break, this set, this match, now on the racket of Robredo. 2 service points to come.
Well, all those years, Jeffrey, of grinding on those clay courts, learning your craft from an early age, to not miss. Margin for error, pick the right ball, wait for the right ball to take a risk on, and it pays off in situations like that.
Yeah, Ryan Harrison, the young American, threw everything he had at Robredo, but in the end, as John Fitzgerald mentioned, he's just a little bit too secure, perhaps. 2 match points now, Robredo.
Mr. Harrison is challenging a call on a left near sideline. Ball was calling.
Well, this is match point. If he's wrong here, it's over.
Correct, and this is an extraordinary decision from Harrison, and he's wrong, and the match is over. It's an unfortunate way to finish, and again, a little inexperience perhaps from the young American, but Robredo's through.
6-4, 7-6.
There we go, Tommy Robredo, very pleased with himself, and the crowd very